The secret message in my ex's letter. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. Every third capital letter spelled run, and my blood went cold. I'm Alex, 28, a librarian whose job is noticing what others skim past. My life depends on quiet systems, catalog numbers, due dates, patterns that never lie. Jordan used to laugh that I proofread feelings until we stopped laughing altogether. We broke up 3 months ago after a fight about control. Mine, theirs, who had the right to label the future. Today, a cream envelope arrived at my apartment, my old nickname inked in Jordan's careful hand. The letter read like a farewell, gentle, distant, grateful in that scripted way people write when they're trying to be kind. But the capitals were wrong. Every third capital formed a ladder of letters running down the page. Are you in? And then a break, as if something had snagged the pen. I reread, pencil in hand, heart thudding. In the margin, an oddly smudged comma sat where Jordan, a punctuation snob, would never smudge. I held the paper to the window, and the fibers showed faint impressions like someone pressed too hard beneath these lines. My throat buzzed with a fear I hadn't named since the night we ended. Fear wears familiar shoes. I whispered, is this a code, or am I grieving patterns into meaning? The last sentence broke character. Please accept this as closure. Jordan never used please. I pulled out my phone, turned off notifications, and circled the capitals. Patterns rarely lie twice. Then a shadow crossed my peephole, and a quiet voice said my name. Someone outside my door whispered Alex, like they already knew the answer I feared. We met in a basement gallery under flickering track lights, where Jordan said I cataloged color with my eyebrows. I liked their steadiness. They liked my habit of reading plaques aloud. We built a life of secondhand furniture and shared grocery lists saved as private jokes. But they took a new job at a startup last winter, and everything changed. Their messages got shorter, their sleep thinner, their new friends faceless handles with screenshots at 2 a.m. When we fought, it was about attention, mine to details, theirs to a boss named Cole who made things happen. A month before it ended, Jordan texted, if you can't loosen your grip, I'll disappear, and then didn't speak for 2 days. I called it a threat. They called it a boundary. Neither of us forgave the other. The last night, Jordan said, you read me like a misfiled book, and left with a single duffel bag and our spare apartment key. I changed the lock the following week, but I kept the key on my dresser like a cough drop I refused to throw away. If they're asking me to run now, from what? I stared at the envelope again. The postmark date was 4 days ago, but Jordan never mailed things. They hand-delivered birthday cards. My phone buzzed. Mira, you okay? Heard a whisper? I texted back, just a memory creaking, and lied. The door's shadow shifted like someone's shoulder. I held my breath, counted to 5, and glanced through the peephole. A man in a gray cap lifted a phone and photographed my door number. I didn't open the door. I pressed my shoulder against it and watched the cap move away, then the elevator dinged. Coincidence. I told the empty hallway like a teacher soothing a class. The letter lay on the counter beside a coffee ring and a paperclip, my still life of denial. I reread it, this time with a ruler. Double spaces appeared in sentences that didn't need them. After thankful, after choice, after future. When I highlighted the letters following the doubles, they spelled AID. My breath fogged in the cool morning light. I told myself to stop. Grief sabotages punctuation. Anxiety rearranges capitals. On impulse, I flipped the page. Jordan always doodled little cranes, but there was only a faint crescent like a watermark. I rubbed the surface and ink shimmered, barely there. A co-working space logo I knew from a flyer at the library, the Quarry. I took photos from 3 angles and sent them to Mira. She called immediately. Don't chase ghosts, she said. But if this is real, we move carefully. I said, every third capital says run, and doubles spell aid. She swore, then softened. Okay, first check. Any new accounts following you since the breakup? I opened my socials. A handle named Cole Builds had liked an old photo of Jordan and me at a coffee shop I barely remembered. My stomach dropped. I turned the letter again. The closing line, may this find you at peace, used may like a proper noun. Aunt May was my childhood neighbor. Jordan had met her twice. The letter wasn't closure. It was coordinates written in feelings to look like goodbye. The second envelope was in my mailbox that evening, stamped 2 weeks earlier than the first. My neighbor Mrs. Patel waved me down. Someone waited by the stairs earlier, she murmured, worried lines deepening. He didn't buzz anyone, just watched. She described the gray cap. Inside, I opened the envelope with a butter knife, careful not to tear potential meaning. The handwriting looked like Jordan's, slant, loops, the dramatic cross on the T when they were annoyed, but certain strokes felt pressed, like someone traced them after. The note was shorter, grateful for our time. No need to respond. The capitals, every fourth, this time, spelled HEL, then broke. Smudges flecked the left margin like ash. I turned on a desk lamp and the paper glowed thin. Faint indentations from prior lines formed an arc. I shaded with a pencil until words ghosted forward. Locker 214. Quarry mezzanine. Tuesday. The Tuesday in question was yesterday. I swore into the desk. Someone was ahead of me or wanted me to feel late. I dialed Jordan's number. Straight to voicemail. You've reached, click. Texted, are you safe? Delivered. No reply. I screenshotted everything, saved to an encrypted folder, and told Mira I was going to the co-working space first thing. Don't go alone, she said. Bring boring shoes and something that makes noise. I chose sneakers and a keychain with chimes. Before sleeping, I slid the envelopes into a hardcover dictionary. If words are armor, I wanted heavy armor. At 3 a.m., someone tried my doorknob and walked away humming very softly. Insomnia feels like being shelved in the wrong section. Everyone else knows where they belong, and you're just misfiled. I dragged myself to the library anyway, where the silence is a different species, structured, trustworthy. But my scanning went feral. A patron asked for tax forms, and I fetched divorce paperwork. I kept replaying the doorknob turn, the soft hum, the elevator's indifferent ding. At lunch, I sat with Mira behind the returns desk. You're pale, she said. I'm fine, I lied. You're alphabetical soup. She put a banana into my hand like it was a life preserver. Listen, obsession is a vending machine. You think one more coin will cure the hunger. I said, what if this time the machine is stacked with notes that say help? She sighed. Then we read the notes, but we don't crawl inside the machine. We scheduled a time to visit the quarry together. At closing, a man asked me for directions to the archives, and when I pointed, he smiled too long. Breaking down cardboard in the back, I realized the letters in Jordan's sign-off, J-O-R-D-A-N, appeared at precise intervals that matched our old Wi-Fi password. When I mapped them, they lined along Tuesdays, 3 weeks apart. Pattern or pareidolia? I texted Aunt May. Still making lemon bars? She replied, always. And watching the news about scams. Careful, sweetheart. I pocketed the banana peel, locked the staff door, and counted my steps to the bus. On the bus, Cole's handle DM'd me. Curiosity can look like harassment. Choose silence wisely, Alex. The quarry smelled like coffee and printer toner, all optimism and sweat. Mira wore her, I'm just browsing face, which to me reads as, I notice everything. We rode the mezzanine stairs. Lockers lined the wall like a polite army. I found 214, heart ricocheting, and tried my library card on the combination keypad, old habit of testing the obvious. Mira snorted. Try Jordan's old pin reversed. I did. The lock clicked. Inside, a folded receipt from a 24/7 copy center, an empty flash drive case, and a small square of paper with 4 capital letters spaced like teeth. HELP. My throat went dry. The receipt showed 3 transactions, printing color flyers, laminating 2 IDs, and a cash refund. Total $84. 22. Dated last Thursday, 9:13 p.m. Across the bottom, smudged ink formed half a logo I recognized from a city program about identity theft. Jordan's warning you. Not goodbye GU, Mira said. But why you? I traced a thumbnail over the help square. The H's crossbar dipped lower on one side. A flaw Jordan joked about once. Authentic. Because I read footnotes, I said. The co-working receptionist glanced up at us, then typed faster. We snapped photos, returned everything exactly, and closed the door. On the mezzanine, I noticed a faint security camera blinking. We need footage, Mira whispered. Ask as a librarian. Say a patron left sensitive documents. My stomach fluttered. And if Cole is watching? She touched my sleeve. Then we smile like nothing hurts. When I asked for footage, the receptionist said, Cole already requested copies this morning. We split tasks. Mira dug into public terminal logs at the library. I tried to charm the coffee shop barista across from the quarry. Do you remember this person? I asked, showing Jordan's photo. The barista squinted. They were here Tuesday, nervous, spilled sugar, used our printer, then left with a suit guy. What suit guy? Gray cap, expensive coat, no tip, she said, smirking. My skin buzzed. I bought a muffin I didn't want and sat by the window with my notebook. Date, Tuesday. Time, afternoon. Companion, gray cap. Pattern, gray cap keeps showing up. At the library, Mira called. Public terminals show a login for guest 143 at 8:41 p.m. Thursday, she said. Printed 16 pages, uploaded something, then deleted the browser history like an amateur ghost. I pulled bank records from an app one hadn't opened since the breakup. Jordan and I had split utilities. There were 5 small Venmo payments to usernames that looked like auto parts stores, but the notes were emojis. Lock, he, mask, lock. Shell accounts, Mira said quietly. You're in it now. I leaned back. The reflection in the cafe window framed me like a suspect. I opened the copy center's phone number and asked for transactions around 9 p.m. last Thursday. A bored voice said, we don't give that out. I said, one of your receipts was laminate for IDs. Someone's in danger. Silence. Then a mutter. A guy named Cole paid cash for extras. A notification popped up. Password changed on your backup email. Location, Cole River District. I froze so hard the muffin tasted like chalk. I slammed two-step authentication, reset everything, and stared at the map pulsing over the Cole River District, a gentrified strip where the quarry had its slickest tenants. They're poking, Mira said, already typing. Identity theft pipeline, for real. But why drag Jordan into it? My phone chimed again. A voicemail from Jordan saved at 3:07 a.m. for days ago. I put it on speaker. Alex, their voice trembled. Don't text me here. Cole checks. If you find letters, follow capitals. Quarry mezzanine. Ask for Rivera if. Then a clatter and a hiss. Show he's awake. The line died. My eyes burned. They're in a trap, I said. Mira blew out a breath. You can't go lone wolf. The why still gnawed. Money, sure, but Jordan resisted easy greed. Then I remembered the complaints Jordan whispered about their old landlord. A scheme with deposits and fake credit pulls. Maybe Cole found Jordan because Jordan hates bullies, I said. We scraped through voter registries and business filings. Cole's surname appeared on 3 LLCs formed within 6 months. Co-Build Works, River Coal Consulting, and Harrow Fund. Registered addresses hopped between a storage unit and a mailbox store. Pipelines bigger than an office bully, Mira murmured. It's a harvest. My heart thudded at the word. Harvest of what? She tapped the screen. People who trust forms. The front door chimed, and Cole himself walked into the cafe and smiled at me. He looked like a magazine ad for trust. Navy coat, soft scarf, perfect hair. Alex, he said warmly, as if we were old friends. Jordan speaks highly of your attention to detail. My fingers went numb. I'm sorry, who? I asked bland. He laughed. I admire librarians. Stewards of order. He ordered tea, didn't drink it. You know, curiosity can look like harassment, he said softly. And mistakes online can look like crimes. Mira squeezed my knee under the table. Are you threatening us? She asked, bright and harmless. Cole tilted his head. No. Encouraging boundaries. He slid a business card across the table. Raised lettering. A phone number that screamed burner. If you ever want closure, he said, call me. I'm very good at closure. When he left, the air felt thinned out. I took a photo of the card and texted it to a tip line I found months ago when a patron asked about reporting fraud. Then I called the number. It went straight to hold music, mythical flute, and rang. After 30 seconds, a recorded voice said, leave a message for Cole. I hung up. We needed protection or leverage, or both. At home, I made a folder labeled River with subfolders, receipts, audio, screenshots, locks. I recorded a statement into voice memos, times, places, names. If anything happens, I said, Mira has the password. Then I called a reporter whose name Jordan whispered in that voicemail. Reporter Rivera answered with a sigh. If you're Alex, speak quickly and don't embellish anything. Rivera's voice was steady gravel. I laid out the timeline with librarian precision. Postmarks, capitals, locker number, copy center receipt totals, Cole's card, the voicemail hiccup. Rivera asked only clarifying questions. You have chain of custody photos of the locker contents? Yes. You can authenticate Jordan's handwriting? I described the H. Good, they said. Here's what I know. Cole appears in 3 unrelated complaint emails. ID fraud, coerced account openings, threats of closure. People are scared. We need a controlled exposure. Police? I asked. Soon, Rivera said. But first we gather enough that internal affairs can't shrug. My stomach fluttered. Jordan is still with him, I said. I heard someone wake up. Rivera was quiet. Then you'll get one chance to pull Jordan into daylight. We'll set a meeting where Cole thinks he's winning. We arranged the co-working space for Saturday morning, front-facing conference room, projector ready. Invite Jordan alone, Rivera said. No accusations in writing. 2 witnesses present. Me and a detective off duty but trusted. Bring the letters. We'll ask questions that force answers. I called Jordan from a payphone by the bus stop, like it was 2005. Voicemail again. So I recited a code only they'd recognize. The cranes on your wall are migrating. 10 minutes later, Jordan texted from a new number, Saturday 10. If I don't show, assume the worst. Friday night unspooled like yarn in a cat's mouth. I wiped my phone, logged out of everything, printed essentials, and left copies with Aunt May in a manila envelope labeled recipes, because no thief steals recipes. You're doing a dangerous kindness, May said, eyes glistening. Make sure it stays kindness to yourself, too. She packed lemon bars like talismans. Eat courage, she said, which made me laugh and breathe. Mira prepped the tech, a simple slide of dates, a folder of scanned receipts, a waveform of the voicemail. Rivera texted a single instruction. Ask questions, don't accuse. At dawn, I walked to the quarry in weak light, the building's glass ribs catching a pale sun. The receptionist looked bored, which felt like a blessing. We set up in a room with a window onto the mezzanine. Public enough to scare liars, private enough to speak. At 9:58, footsteps approached. I saw Jordan's reflection before I saw their face. Thinner, eyes jumpy, mouth set like a paper cut. Behind them, a gray cap hovered at the railing. You came, I said, voice steadier than my hands. Jordan lifted a palm in apology instead of a hug. No time, they whispered. He's close. Rivera nodded, pressed record, and asked their first question like an officer pulling thread. Then Cole opened the door without knocking and said, let's practice closure together. Cole took the head of the table like this was his sermon. Since we're all concerned, let's clarify, he said, smiling. Rivera clicked to the first slide. Receipt totals, dates, locations. Mr. Cole, do you recognize these transactions? No, he said smoothly. I never use cash. I'm old-fashioned. Rivera clicked to the laminate line item. Yet a clerk remembers you paying cash for IDs. He shrugged. People misremember. I slid the letter across to Jordan. Do you recognize your handwriting? Jordan's fingers shook on the H. Yes, they whispered. Rivera zoomed the projector into the capitals. Run, doubles spelling aid. Why did you hide this message? Jordan stared at Cole. He widened his smile, thin as floss. They're dramatic, he said. We've been role-playing for therapy. Rivera didn't blink. Why does the co-working watermark appear exactly where the message breaks? Jordan inhaled sharply. Because I wrote it there, they said, voice firming. After he took my phone. Cole's smile cracked. Accusations are expensive, he murmured. Silence is cheap. Rivera nodded toward the door, and a woman in plain clothes stepped in, badge tucked but visible. Cole stood. This is a trap. Rivera's voice was gentle. It's a conversation with witnesses. The detective spoke for the first time. Mr. Cole, please sit. He didn't. He lunged for the projector cable. Myra's hand hit the power button, and the screen filled with the word help in silence. Everything sped and condensed. The detective blocked Cole, Rivera gathered printouts, and Jordan grabbed my wrist so hard it hurt. Locker 214, they gasped. There's another drive. Cole laughed, breathless. Burned already. But his eyes flicked, and the detective caught the direction. Stay. She ordered us, then radioed for a uniformed unit. Cole paced, muttering about slander, about harassment by exes, about librarians playing Nancy Drew. I sat with Jordan, who trembled like shaken glass. "Why me?" I whispered. "Because you see patterns," they said, smiling without joy. "You always did." The uniforms arrived, calm and methodical, and secured Cole's bag, which contained 2 phones, 3 SIM cards, and a folder of photocopied driver's licenses with faces blacked out. My chest burned. I remembered the barista's suit guy, the humming at my door, the Venmo emoji lock smirking. At the precinct, statements stretched into afternoon. A stern HR email hit my inbox, a formal write-up for off-hours activity involving patrons. Online, a stranger called me a scorned ex making drama. I closed the app, hands shaking. Rivera squeezed my shoulder. "Truth comes slow," they said. But it comes. That night, Jordan slept on my couch with 2 lemon bars as paperweights on their chest like armor. At 2 a.m., a text arrived. "This is bigger. Harrow Fund wants their data back tonight." "Block the number," Mira said, but we both knew curiosity was a leash. Rivera advised caution. The detective said, "Do not engage." Instead, we documented. Jordan explained the ring. People like Cole recruited anxious gig workers, forced them to open accounts with bonuses, then siphoned stimulus checks, insurance payouts, and small business grants. The hush payments disguised as consulting went to Harrow Fund, a shell that washed money through fake renovations. "I thought I could copy files and leak them," Jordan said, voice breaking. "I underestimated how fast he monitors." We set boundaries the way therapists teach. I wrote them down. If Jordan stayed with me, they would call their parents, file a protective statement, and I would not chase leads alone. We booked therapy, we cooked eggs, we put the letters into a fireproof box. A week later, accounts froze and a quiet press release cited ongoing investigation. My HR write-up remained, a bruise that yellowed slowly. I started sleeping again, a little. Jordan cried in the shower and came out clean, quieter. We walked by the river, saying nothing, letting boundaries be the language. I wanted to save them, and I wrote that one on a sticky note and put it in the trash. Then a certified letter arrived addressed to me. "Cease and desist, or we escalate offline." I took the letter to Rivera and the detective, who photographed and filed it. "Escalation means they're rattled," Rivera said. "Fear is a clumsy writer." We tightened routines, varied routes to work, shared calendars, code words for panic and for "I'm okay." Jordan returned to their apartment with a new lock and a neighbor who owned a very loud dog. I kept the fireproof box under my bed. Therapy helped us name the ache correctly. Love is not rescue, and closure is not compliance. When I shelve returns now, I pause at letters lodged between pages. I give them back to circulation and smile. If you're reading this because you found a strange capital dripping through a goodbye, listen to the quietest fact. Patterns are just people trying to be found. Take screenshots. Write dates. Ask questions instead of accusing. Bring someone steady and someone principled. Eat something sweet before you do anything brave. And when a voice whispers your name through a door you don't trust, choose light, witnesses, and paper trails over romantic leaps into fog. I kept the envelopes, not for longing, but for proof.